Imported pistons are unaffordable, so self-made ones are more cost-effective. Pakistani small workshops use the steel body to melt and cast it with donkey water through the ancient sand casting technology to create a new piston for the engine. The workers in front of me are collecting the sand for secondary use. The sand after demolding has hardened after high temperature, but the workers will put it into the mixer and then pour the remaining waste oil from the bucket and mix it with the sand being mixed. The purpose of this is to increase the viscosity of the sand. Sand is not easy to crack when the mold is finalized, and the finished piston must be used to make the mold. The groove of the injection molded piston ring will hinder demolding, so the master directly uses glue to seal the groove. Although this thickness will increase the difficulty of later car pin processing, it also reserves enough processing space for the master. After the glue solidifies, use sand to block the live color glue hole because every part of the piston is very precise and there will be a large error if it is glued. Don't glue it in the early stage for later processing. Fill the iron ore outside the mold with the sand that has just been mixed so that the sand can be fully filled into every corner. Then press the sand in the mold tightly and use the iron pipe to flatten the sand on the surface. After turning the mold over, half of the mold of a piston is ready. Then sprinkle talcum powder on the mold split layer. The gap of this round tube is the glue mouth reserved for donkey water. After fixing it, fill the iron ore with sand again and press it tightly. The talcum powder in the split layer can make the mold open easily. At this time, you can carefully remove the piston. The glue column mold of a piston is completed. At this time, the worker opens the crude oil valve at the bottom of the furnace and drives the ancient fan through the motor belt. At this time, the flame at the bottom of the furnace continues to increase. The raw material used this time is the motorcycle engine cover. If it is aluminum alloy, it can be used. The powerful heat of crude oil can melt the body rapidly. After the grid body just now was completely turned into donkey water, the master and the factory did not even let go of this donkey board. Then a tank of donkey water is ready. Use an iron bucket to bite a large bucket in the furnace and pour it through the reserved glue column port of the mold. After the glue column is completed, wait for 5 minutes to cool. Then the piston can be demolded. Use a shovel to directly shovel to the sand cleaning area. The sand on the surface has not yet completely hardened. Separate the sand as quickly as possible. The purpose of doing this is because the sand inside the piston is difficult to remove. The fur piston covered with donkey water is formed. Then fix the formed piston on the lathe search card. The piston ring groove is blocked in the injection mode, so the piston now looks much larger. The master first has to cut off a layer of the surface. Under the continuous measurement of the finished piston ring groove, the master replaced the cutting groove knife for the lathe. The width of the groove knife can just eliminate the proportional groove. Since the data of the piston ring groove cannot tolerate any error, even the old master with white hair has to constantly compare. You will definitely not go wrong if you use ready-made piston rings. If it feels smooth to the touch, it is qualified. The overall smoothness of the piston surface is very good. After the piston turns around, the tail is cut out with the same ruler to ensure that the data of the two turnings are consistent. After the pin is completed, the master will locate the piston pin hole. Use a marker to mark it and then hammer out the center point. This positioning hole is only done by this master. The marking point can not only make the piston in the center of the disc, but also provide a reference point for the twist drill to drill. If the hole is drilled off, then the piston basically has no chance of being saved. After drilling through both sides of the piston, it is necessary to replace a larger drill bit to expand the hole. Under the very professional operation of the master, imported smoothness after the work is completed. The new piston ring is compared and tested to test the durability of this piston. There is also an engine in the factory that is specially used for testing. The engine piston with aluminum water glue column is produced. What do you think of the skills of the Pakistani master?